You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your educational journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. A predictable rhythm of communication is one of the most powerful tools an organization can employ to maintain clarity and alignment. Without it, messages about vision and intent become fragmented, repeated inconsistently, or lost altogether. People begin to rely on hallway conversations, rumors, or personal interpretations, which can quickly erode trust and coherence. By contrast, when communication follows a well-designed cadence, everyone knows when to expect updates, what kind of information will be shared, and where to find the authoritative source. This rhythm creates stability and an environment where facts and priorities constantly evolve. It reassures stakeholders that they will not be left in the dark, even when plans shift. Like the steady beat of a metronome that holds musicians together, communication rhythm keeps teams coordinated across roles, geographies, and projects, ensuring vision remains visible and purpose stays intact over time. Cadence architecture is the foundation of this rhythm. Just as a song has verses and choruses at different intervals, organizational communication benefits from layered frequencies that match urgency to shelf life. Daily updates might focus on tactical items or critical incident awareness, while weekly summaries highlight progress toward near-term goals. Monthly briefings can provide trend analysis and course corrections, and quarterly reviews address larger strategic themes. Each layer serves a distinct purpose. Immediate signals prevent short-term confusion, while longer cycles maintain perspective. The danger of ignoring cadence architecture is either flooding people with noise or starving them of context. The former breeds disengagement, while the latter fuels speculation and rumor. A thoughtful cadence distributes information like nutrition regular, digestible portions that sustain energy and focus. Over time, this architecture builds trust, as people come to rely on a steady flow of relevant, right-sized communication. Audience segmentation ensures that messages resonate without fracturing truth. Different groups executives, product leaders, engineers, risk managers, or external partners have distinct needs, but they must all hear a consistent vision. Segmentation does not mean creating multiple conflicting stories. It means tuning emphasis and examples so each audience sees relevance. For instance, an engineer may need details on technical debt priorities, while a compliance partner cares more about traceability in decision logs. Both, however, must recognize how their perspectives tie back to shared outcomes. Segmentation prevents wasted effort, as people are not burdened with irrelevant detail, yet it also safeguards against silos by maintaining a single narrative spine. Over time, this practice reduces friction, as each group feels respected and included without losing sight of the larger mission. It ensures that communication serves both clarity and inclusivity, striking the balance that keeps alignment strong. A message hierarchy organizes communication so that intent is clear immediately, while details remain available for those who need them. Think of this as the journalistic principle of headlines followed by supporting details. Headlines capture the essence of a decision, milestone, or risk in a few sentences that anyone can grasp quickly. Supporting details provide the rationale and implications, while links point to full artifacts like decision logs or runbooks for deeper exploration. This structure prevents overwhelm and reduces the chance that critical points are buried in dense slides or emails. For example, the headline might read, "Priority shifted to resilience upgrades this quarter," with details explaining the rationale and links to updated roadmaps. A strong hierarchy respects people's attention, while still enabling transparency. Over time, this method improves comprehension and retention, as people consistently encounter information in a layered, digestible format. A single source of truth is essential for credibility. Without it, different teams create their own versions of roadmaps, metrics, or decisions, leading to confusion and misalignment. A consolidated repository, whether a shared portal, wiki, or structured set of dashboards, serves as the authoritative reference. It contains roadmaps, decision logs, and progress updates, each with clear stewardship. When disputes arise, teams know where to look for the definitive answer. A single source also reduces wasted time spent reconciling conflicting versions. For example, instead of comparing multiple slide decks, a team can check the latest update in the system of record. This practice builds confidence, as stakeholders learn to trust the shared platform rather than relying on rumor. Over time, it fosters discipline, as leaders and teams consistently contribute to and consume from the same well-maintained resource, sustaining alignment across the organization. Narrative framing turns dry updates into stories that connect metrics to purpose. Instead of saying, quote, "We closed 20 tickets," a narrative might explain, "By addressing critical backlog items, we reduced average onboarding time by 15%, making it easier for new users to succeed." This framing places numbers in context, showing how work advances vision and values. Narratives also humanize progress, tying it to outcomes people care about rather than lists of tasks. For example, a milestone in risk reduction might be explained through the lens of protecting customer trust. Stories resonate more than statistics alone, embedding memory and motivation. Over time, narrative framing transforms communication from transactional reporting into cultural reinforcement. It reminds everyone not just what was done, but why it matters, keeping purpose at the center of daily activity. Repetition with variation ensures messages are remembered without becoming stale. Core themes, such as the organization's purpose, guiding principles, or current priorities, need to be reinforced consistently, but repeating them verbatim risks disengagement. Variation introduces fresh examples, new metaphors, or updated evidence while keeping the core intact. For instance, the principle of thin slicing might be explained one week with a story about faster integration, and the next with an example of reduced rework. Each retelling reinforces memory while adding depth. This balance prevents drift, where critical ideas are forgotten, while also avoiding fatigue from monotony. Over time, repetition with variation embeds key messages into culture, as people hear them often enough to internalize but varied enough to stay engaged. It creates continuity without complacency, ensuring that the rhythm of communication remains lively and effective. A thoughtful channel strategy balances synchronous and asynchronous modes. High-stakes alignment, like responding to a crisis or debating a major pivot, requires real-time dialogue, where questions and tensions can be addressed immediately. By contrast, routine updates or contextual briefings can be delivered asynchronously through emails, recordings, or repositories. This reduces meeting load while still keeping information accessible. For example, a strategic milestone might be summarized in a short video with supporting links, while incident response requires a live call. Choosing the wrong channel risks failure. Too many meetings drain energy, while over-reliance on async can leave questions unresolved. Over time, a balanced strategy saves time, increases accessibility, and improves clarity. It also strengthens inclusivity, as asynchronous updates allow distributed teams to engage without schedule barriers, while synchronous sessions ensure critical alignment happens when it matters most. Leaders play a visible role in communication rhythm. Their presence goes beyond broadcasting updates. It involves modeling the tone and priorities of the organization. When leaders explain trade-offs transparently, acknowledge risks openly, and thank dissenters for raising concerns, they demonstrate that communication is not propaganda but dialogue. This modeling reinforces trust, showing that vision and purpose guide decisions even under pressure. For example, a leader may candidly explain why a popular feature was delayed to strengthen resilience, thanking the team that raised the concern. Such actions prove that values are lived, not just stated. Over time, leadership participation builds cultural consistency, as people hear not only what the direction is but how it is reasoned. Leaders set the rhythm's tone, making it clear that communication is about truth, alignment, and shared responsibility. Designing communication for audio-first consumption ensures accessibility and inclusivity. In distributed or busy environments, many updates are consumed through spoken word formats, whether machine narration, podcasts, or meetings without visuals. Content must therefore stand alone when read aloud, avoiding heavy reliance on diagrams, color-coded charts, or text-packed slides. For example, instead of showing a bar graph, an update might say, Adoption increased from 40% to 60% in the past quarter, with the largest gains in small business users. This ensures that everyone, including those without visual aids or with accessibility needs, receives the same message. Over time, audio-first design improves clarity for all, as content is forced into plain, narrative-friendly language. It also strengthens consistency, ensuring that communication travels effectively across multiple formats, preserving rhythm without leaving anyone behind. Change narratives explain adjustments to scope or priorities with transparency. When plans evolve, people want to know not only what changed, but why. A strong change narrative describes the rationale, alternatives considered, and expected effects on outcomes. For example, shifting resources from feature expansion to resilience upgrades might be explained as a response to incident trends, with details on what will be delayed and how trust will be protected. This transparency prevents speculation and maintains credibility. Without narratives, stakeholders may assume changes are arbitrary or politically motivated. Over time, consistent change narratives build resilience, as people learn to trust that pivots are reasoned, not random. They also reinforce alignment, as shifts are tied back to vision and outcomes. Communication rhythm that includes change narratives sustains trust, even when priorities must be recalibrated. Feedback intake mechanisms ensure communication is not one way. Q and AMP-A threads, office hours, and lightweight surveys provide channels for clarifying questions and surfacing concerns. For example, after a quarterly update, a survey may ask whether stakeholders understand the new priorities and where clarity is lacking. Responses guide the next iteration of communication, closing gaps and addressing misunderstandings. Feedback intake also signals respect, showing that leadership listens as well as speaks. Over time, this two-way rhythm prevents drift, as the communication system adapts to real comprehension, not assumed understanding. It also fosters engagement, as people see their input reflected in refinements. Feedback transforms rhythm from broadcast into dialogue, reinforcing alignment through interaction. Confidentiality boundaries balance openness with responsibility. While transparency is essential, not every detail can be shared broadly due to legal, safety, or competitive obligations. Boundaries specify what can be communicated publicly, internally, or to restricted groups. For example, user data may be summarized in anonymized form for broad updates, while detailed audit findings are shared with compliance teams only. By clarifying boundaries, organizations prevent accidental disclosures while sustaining trust. Stakeholders know that information is withheld only for valid reasons, not hidden arbitrarily. Over time, this discipline builds credibility, as communication is both open and prudent. It demonstrates maturity, ensuring rhythm supports alignment without exposing the organization to unnecessary risk. Remote and distributed norms make rhythm sustainable across geographies. These norms define response windows, recording practices, and captioned summaries to ensure equal access. For example, updates may be recorded and posted with transcripts, while distributed teams are given 48 hours to respond asynchronously. These norms prevent location from determining awareness or influence. They also reduce inequities, as everyone receives the same information in formats accessible to them. Over time, distributed norms embed inclusivity into rhythm, making communication resilient to scale and distance. They ensure alignment persists even in complex global environments, reinforcing shared vision and trust. Anti-pattern awareness protects communication rhythm from decay. Common traps include status theater, where updates highlight activity but obscure results; slide dumps, where dense decks are shared without decisions; and irregular bursts, where silence alternates with overwhelming floods of information. These anti-patterns breed cynicism and rumor, as stakeholders stop trusting the rhythm. By calling them out explicitly, organizations preserve credibility and discipline. Over time, vigilance against anti-patterns sustains trust, ensuring communication remains purposeful. Rhythm is judged not by volume but by clarity, consistency, and its ability to align action with vision. Avoiding anti-patterns keeps communication alive, effective, and culturally reinforcing. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Calendarized rituals anchor communication rhythm by tying updates to events that already exist in the organizational cadence. Instead of inventing endless new ceremonies, updates can ride along with planning sessions, sprint reviews, and demos. For example, a roadmap update may be delivered as part of a quarterly business review, while weekly highlights can be folded into existing stand-ups or team huddles. This approach reduces meeting fatigue, as stakeholders don't feel burdened with additional events, and it reinforces alignment by embedding communication directly into work rhythms. Ritual anchoring also ensures predictability. People know that each planning cycle will bring a vision refresh, and each review will highlight risks and decisions. Over time, these calendarized rituals create a cultural habit where updates feel natural, expected, and trustworthy. The vision remains visible not because of ad hoc broadcasts, but because it is woven into the very structure of organizational life. Templated updates bring consistency and efficiency to communication. By defining standard sections, such as goals, progress, risks, decisions, and next asks, updates become easier to prepare and simpler to digest. For example, a team lead writing a weekly update does not have to reinvent the structure. They follow a template that ensures the right balance of context and detail. Readers also benefit as they learn where to look for specific information without wading through unstructured text. Templates improve comparability across teams, making it possible to synthesize insights without reinterpreting wildly different formats. They also reduce preparation friction, as busy leaders and contributors can focus on content rather than presentation. Over time, templated updates become part of cultural muscle memory, raising the quality and reliability of information shared. They transform communication from an art of improvisation into a practice of disciplined, repeatable clarity. Rumor control loops keep focus intact by addressing uncertainties before they metastasize. In any organization, whispers and half-truths travel faster than official updates, especially during times of change. Rumor control involves proactively monitoring for misinformation and providing timely clarifications. For example, if employees speculate that a project was canceled due to funding cuts, a quick clarification can explain that resources were reallocated to higher priority outcomes. The goal is not to police conversations, but to ensure truth is always accessible. Loops can be as simple as dedicated Q&A threads or scheduled clarification rounds. By treating rumors as feedback signals rather than nuisances, leaders demonstrate responsiveness. Over time, rumor control loops reduce anxiety and improve trust, as stakeholders learn they will not be left guessing. Communication rhythm becomes not just about broadcasting, but about sustaining clarity in the spaces where speculation thrives. Crisis communication playbooks add structure to moments when rhythm is most at risk. During incidents or emergencies, people crave timely, factual updates that explain what is happening, what actions are underway, and when they will hear more. A good playbook defines roles, audiences, and intervals for updates, pairing honesty with concrete next steps. For example, after a service outage, stakeholders may be told, "We identified the issue, mitigation is in progress, and the next update will be in 30 minutes." This predictability calms speculation and preserves trust, even when the situation is fluid. Playbooks also segment messages. Technical teams receive operational details while customers get plain language explanations. Over time, these practices turn crises into moments of reinforced credibility. Instead of chaos, stakeholders experience consistent, reasoned communication. Playbooks make rhythm resilient, proving that even under pressure, clarity and trust can be maintained. Localization and accessibility ensure communication carries the same meaning across diverse audiences. Global organizations cannot assume that messages written in one language or cultural context will resonate elsewhere. Localization involves adapting language, examples, and metaphors to fit regional norms. Accessibility ensures that formats are inclusive: captions for videos, transcripts for audio, and plain language summaries for complex topics. For example, a security update may avoid jargon and provide analogies relevant to local industries. This inclusivity prevents misunderstandings and demonstrates respect. It also improves comprehension, as people receive information in the clearest form for them. Over time, localization and accessibility broaden alignment, as no group feels sidelined or confused. They turn communication from a central broadcast into a genuinely shared conversation, where vision and purpose are reinforced consistently across geographies, roles, and abilities. Compliance-aware publishing integrates governance needs into normal updates, eliminating redundant reporting tracks. In regulated industries, communication cannot simply be informal. It must provide evidence of accountability. Compliance-aware rhythm embeds approvals, links to policies, and audit trails into updates themselves. For example, a quarterly roadmap update might include links to completed risk reviews and compliance attestations. This integration ensures that communication serves both cultural and regulatory needs. It also reduces duplication, as one update satisfies both stakeholders and auditors. Over time, compliance-aware publishing creates efficiency and trust. Stakeholders see transparency, and regulators see accountability. It transforms compliance from a burden into a feature of rhythm, reinforcing that agility and governance can coexist. Communication becomes not just cultural reinforcement but also a pillar of accountability, preserving speed while meeting external obligations. Metrics for rhythm effectiveness measure whether communication is achieving its intended impact. Instead of simply tracking how many updates were published, meaningful metrics focus on comprehension, decision alignment, and rework caused by miscommunication. For example, surveys may ask whether stakeholders understand new priorities, while audits of decision logs check for alignment with stated outcomes. If rework decreases after a new cadence is introduced, rhythm effectiveness is proven. Metrics also guide refinement, highlighting whether frequency, channels, or clarity need adjustment. Over time, this measurement prevents rhythm from becoming ritualistic. It ensures communication is not judged by volume but by value, fewer surprises, faster decisions, and greater consistency. By making rhythm measurable, organizations demonstrate accountability for clarity itself. Metrics turn communication into a disciplined, adaptive system rather than a hopeful exercise in broadcasting. Ownership and stewardship protect rhythm from decay. Without named curators, repositories become outdated and cadences slip. Assigning explicit responsibility for maintaining artifacts and schedules ensures continuity, even as teams rotate. For example, a communication steward may own the weekly update, ensuring it is prepared, reviewed, and published consistently. This role also monitors quality, retiring low-value sections and updating templates. Ownership signals seriousness. Communication is not an afterthought, but a managed process. It also distributes responsibility, preventing burnout or dependency on a single individual. Over time, stewardship creates resilience, as rhythm persists despite turnover. Stakeholders trust the system because it is maintained intentionally, not casually. Ownership ensures rhythm remains reliable, consistent, and aligned with evolving organizational needs. Knowledge base integration makes communication reusable beyond the moment of broadcast. Updates should not disappear into inboxes or chats. They should be archived, searchable, and cross-linked to decision logs, roadmaps, and runbooks. For example, a status update announcing a scope shift can be linked to the decision record that explains rationale and the roadmap that reflects changes. This integration transforms ephemeral broadcasts into durable organizational memory. It also reduces duplication, as future stakeholders can trace the context without asking the same questions again. Over time, knowledge base integration compounds value. Each update contributes not just to immediate alignment, but to a growing body of institutional knowledge. Rhythm becomes more than repetition. It becomes accumulation, embedding vision and purpose into the very fabric of organizational memory. Stakeholder-specific briefs translate internal decisions into external coordination. Customers, partners, and support teams often need tailored explanations of how strategy or scope changes affect them directly. For example, A decision to delay a feature may be communicated internally as a resilience priority, but externally it must be explained as part of ensuring reliability and trust. Briefs summarize implications in practical terms, ensuring that communication builds confidence rather than confusion. They also prevent gaps where external stakeholders feel left behind. Over time, stakeholder-specific briefs strengthen relationships, proving that rhythm includes not only internal alignment but also external trust. They turn communication into a bridge across boundaries, reinforcing that vision is shared with partners and customers, not confined to internal channels. Escalation and exception paths define how off-cycle changes are handled without undermining rhythm. Not every development can wait for the next scheduled update, but ad hoc communication must still follow clear rules. For example, a major risk discovery may trigger an immediate briefing with a promise to fold the rationale into the next regular update. Escalation paths clarify who decides when off-cycle communication is warranted and how it is distributed. This prevents chaos while preserving reliability. Over time, exception protocols build confidence. Stakeholders know that urgent issues will not be hidden, yet rhythm will not collapse into random bursts. Escalation strengthens rhythm by proving it can flex responsibly, maintaining both predictability and responsiveness in dynamic environments. Sustainability practices ensure communication rhythm does not overburden teams or audiences. Excessive channels dilute attention, while endless updates drain energy. Sustainability involves capping the number of channels, retiring low-value updates, and rotating presenters to share load and diversify voices. For example, instead of every team creating separate updates, summaries may be consolidated into a portfolio briefing. Rotation also builds inclusivity, giving different perspectives visibility. These practices preserve energy and engagement, preventing rhythm from becoming noise. Over time, sustainability ensures that communication remains effective without exhausting participants. Rhythm endures because it is manageable, not because it is relentless. It demonstrates respect for attention as a finite resource, balancing alignment with efficiency. Continuous refinement keeps rhythm aligned with evolving needs. Feedback is reviewed each cycle, adjustments are made to cadence, channel, and length, and experiments are run to improve clarity. For example, if surveys show that updates are too long, sections may be shortened or moved to links. If remote teams request more asynchronous content, formats are adjusted. This adaptability prevents stagnation and keeps rhythm relevant. Over time, refinement itself becomes a cultural signal. Communication is not a fixed ritual, but a learning process. It evolves with the organization, staying credible and effective. Continuous refinement ensures that rhythm remains a tool for alignment, not a burden. It proves that communication, like any other practice, benefits from iteration and learning. Success definition provides closure on whether rhythm is truly working. Success is not measured by polished decks or the number of broadcasts, but by fewer surprises, faster decisions, and stronger consistency between vision and everyday choices. For example, if meetings shift from debating basic context to solving problems, rhythm is succeeding. If decisions align more closely with stated outcomes and rework decreases, success is evident. This clarity builds confidence, proving that communication is not ornamental but functional. Over time, success definition reinforces commitment, showing that rhythm delivers tangible organizational benefits. It ensures rhythm is sustained not because it is tradition, but because it demonstrably advances alignment, trust, and outcomes. Communication rhythm synthesis emphasizes that clarity requires deliberate design. Layered cadences, audience segmentation, message hierarchies, and single sources of truth prevent confusion and drift. Narratives, repetition, and leader modeling embed purpose, while change stories and feedback loops preserve trust. Anchored rituals, templates, and stewardship sustain rhythm, while rumor control and crisis playbooks protect it under stress. Localization, compliance integration, and stakeholder briefs extend reach, while sustainability and refinement keep rhythm credible. Success is proven by fewer surprises and stronger alignment between vision and daily choices. Done well, communication rhythm becomes an invisible infrastructure, steady, trusted, and resilient, ensuring that vision remains visible and purpose continuously guides the organization forward. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.